Bancroft Congregational Church, James Hugulett.
Thank you, Mayor. Will you please bow your heads as I pray? Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you and the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore I pray for our mayor, knowing from my own experience the weight she now carries on her shoulders, and for the various levels of city staff and for their loyal service, and in particular I pray for this assembled city council. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks here. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Perry. In the most holy name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Do you need a tissue?
No.
Okay.
There's a box back by the door. Shall I get it? Would you like me to get the box?
She says that
Okay.
she's good. I asked.
Go ahead and read through. We'll wait till 4 more minutes go by.
So I brought Kyle's number down. We'll go from there. Well, I have you all here. Note under new business for the possible approval of 2 hired positions. I amended a motion, and the item that's in the box isn't something you have to read. It's just, it will be in your minutes, and it's making you aware of the original motion. Does that make sense?
Oh, you highlighted that sort of.
So I highlighted and showed you, your motion is amending the boxed highlighted below.
That was our motion that was made when we started advertising for the position of treasurer.
Make sense?
Yep.
It's not that we're hiring somebody necessarily, it's just to.
No, we are. No, we
We
are.
are.
We are hiring someone. She just put that in the box in there so it would remind you that we did previously
Authorized
have.
it.
Yes, exactly. You got it.
Yeah, if you were part of the time, we
I was.
talked about the fact
I forget a lot
20
of
might
things.
not be the number.
Yes.
Let's get started.
That's right,
If
yeah.
we need to amend it, we
Yeah,
can.
and we had to
Delta
amend
Lambert.
that, so that'll
Oh,
be
was
part
Lambert?
of the motion to hire.
He moved that second.
Steve was the one that said we need to get on.
Exactly, Steve, you were so right. Well, we did have 4
We got our
applicants.
money's worth on it.
Any of those other 3, we probably could have hired for that price, but they weren't qualified. So you were right on. And we figured that would probably have to happen, but
Hire a professional speaker to read these ordinances.
That one's huge.
Just take turns. Each council member take a page or so.
I still wish we could just go as written.
the second time you can, I think, but not this time.
So you gotta read it,
Yeah.
you have to read it the first time. Absolutely.
Devin, did you get anything back from Kyle yet? I assume not.
No, I'd been on my email all the way up until probably 3:45, and there was
I was
nothing.
gonna say, I looked a little bit beforehand, figured if you got anything, you would have sent it.
Unless he did it to Dory, because Dory did leave early today, so.
He's out of town, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on vacation this week.
Okay,
Wrong Kyle, but thank you.
different kind.
Come to think of it, you're right.
Are we
Because I called and left a voicemail for him, as well, I'm on vacation, I said, oh, just call me back when you get back.
Yeah, Kyle from Shoemaker Technology Group, so we got another Kyle. Yeah, but I asked them if they did send her to make sure that I was CC'd in it, so
Right.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, I suspect they just, it was a pretty tall order they have
Yeah,
turned around and.
yeah, and Kyle just kept
36
smiling,
hours.
not saying much. I'm like, okay,
Are they gonna redo mains
excuse me?
to the valve box, water mains to the valve boxes? Because they marked a lot of blue.
We
Yes, that's part of that, buying that valve tool that we,
They're locating
He has to
them
locate 'em
and we
all.
have
Oh, I gotcha.
he has a program that he'll put those locations into.
got a grant for GIS.
So, yeah, eventually, but not now.
No.
Okay, 7 PM, meeting's called to order. Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Devin, can you do the roll call for us, please?
Randy Coffey,
Here.
Mike Connell,
here,
Mindy Galbavy,
Here.
Larry Lambert,
Here.
Bob Porter,
here.
Steve Wallace,
Here.
Mayor Sue Hammond.
Here.
That is a quorum of all 6.
Yay! We need the agenda reviewed and approved if you're in favor of that.
I move that the agenda be adopted as printed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the agenda be adopted as printed. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And that was Steve and Larry. And now we have the reading and approval of the minutes of the July 1st meeting.
I move that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from the July 1st, 2021 regular meeting.
Second.
Moved by Larry and seconded by Bob. As read, all those in favor of that motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay, motion passes. And we have pre-approved reports or presentations. I don't
Nobody's.
think we
showed
have,
up?
yeah, we don't have any there. Do we have any public comment? I don't hear any there. Communications. Devin?
Yes. I have communication, July 7th, 2021. Dear Perry City Board, please accept this resignation as the assessor for the city of Perry. This will be effective September 1st, 2021. Thank you, Stephen E. Schweikert.
And we will talk about that later on in the agenda. I do have some mayor reports. Oh, was that all your communications? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
All right, okay. I have a letter from SATA, the Shiawassee Area Transportation Agency, and this is dated June 24th, 2021. The SATA Board of Directors has approved the SATA budget. Do we need to go to the door?
I'm sorry, I just sound like somebody was shaking the door like they were trying to come in. Well, we do have somebody upstairs, but,
Do you want to check?
yeah.
Okay.
Mindy
wait.
said she unlocked it.
We'll wait.
Maybe I
This
didn't
door
do
on
a
here,
good
this
job.
was unlocked.
I came
when
in,
I came in.
I came in that one.
Okay. Sorry, Mayor.
That's okay.
That's what it sounded like, it was about us.
The SATA Board of Directors has approved the SATA budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021, FY 2022. The formula for determining the share for each of the participating municipalities was followed, and the pertinent figures are attached. The SADA board has adopted a budget which is as lean as possible, but still enables us to serve the citizens of the 12 participating municipalities. As has been our previous practice, the following requested amount will not increase, but could decrease, as it did for the current fiscal year. Any such action would occur in May of 2022. The City of Perry's share of the total local funding request for the fiscal year October 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2022 is not to exceed $7,551.35. The data used to determine the requested amount is shown on the attached funding model. We're asking that each participating municipality forward to us their commitment regarding this request, $7,551.35, no later than August 16th, 2021. If approved by your council, I would anticipate that you would receive a billing on or about May 15th, 2022, with a requested payment by August 1st, 2022. We wish to thank you and your council for your past support and ask for your continued support as stated above. During these unprecedented times, SADA, like other transit agencies, continues to follow FTA guidelines. Specifically, all staff and passengers are required to wear face coverings on our buses and in our buildings, and buses and buildings are cleaned and sanitized throughout the day. SADA will continue to place the safety of passengers and staff as its highest priority. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns. Sincerely, Mary S. Rice, Executive Director. Any discussion regarding that communication from the council? Any questions that Devin can answer because she's on that committee?
Can I just report?
Sure.
So for
Yep.
the new people, if they haven't noticed it, the City of Perry chose to put this as on the ballot for a millage, and it continues to be very successful. For 4 years, it's 0.25. So the request that they're doing, I've given the mayor the numbers, the figures, is way below what they're asking. And when we put it on the tax bill, I say when Joanne puts it on the tax bill, we go for the exact amount as close as possible. We don't ask for the 0.25 mils each July 1st. So it's been practiced that the mayor will give the recommendation or the commitment due to the people have requested this through a millage.
So unless you have any objection that would prevent me from doing so, I'll propose that I submit a letter on behalf of the council approving the financial support. Another communication I received is an email from a resident dated July 9th. This particular resident had sent me an email maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, asking if the City of Perry would consider spraying for mosquitoes. Well, 3 weeks ago, we didn't have a whole lot of them. And when I talked to John about it, he said, we've just never done it. It's never been anything we've done. We don't have a lot of standing water nearby. So I replied to her, and that was pretty much the end of it. But now she's contacted me again. If you're outside right now for more than about 30 seconds, you're going to get attacked by mosquitoes. Can you reconsider the need for this service? I did talk to John, and just because of how many mosquitoes are out there. And it's not just they make you itch. They spread disease. They're a problem. So I did ask him to at least find out what the cost would be for the city to hire, because we'd have to hire a company that has the proper licensing to do it. And of course it would have to be done for the whole city because you can't just select one neighborhood. So he's checking on that cost, but he said it will be a lot. So I haven't answered her other than we're checking into it. So,
It's a great idea, but it's not feasible for us. Really, you know, we're not in Virginia and the swamps.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Not
right.
worth it.
yeah,
And then in my opinion, the negative benefits of spraying all the pollinators that it may kill,
yes, that too.
unfortunately. So,
Well, I think just to do our due diligence, we need to at least find out the cost and then bring that back to an agenda at a future council meeting and see what your thoughts are based on that.
I sprayed my own yard, and it worked pretty good so far.
Yeah.
It's helped at least.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. I mean, if everybody did spray their own yard, it's at least something going to help them. But I did prepare, well, I'll wait and read this after we talk about our new hires. This is from a communication from the Greater Langsburg Recyclers. City of Perry, dear city officials, thank you very much for putting your faith in us and your dollars into our community recycling center project. And when our dream is up and running, reducing our community's footprint and building resilience, make sure you come to see us and take satisfaction in knowing you helped make it happen. Your generous donation of $1,500 dated June 3rd, 2021 is greatly appreciated. Should you have any questions about this donation or the Greater Langsburg Recyclers in general, please contact me. Best regards, Todd Brewer, Treasurer. So that is done. And there we go. So that is all of my reports. What you pushing over to me?
Did you want to make sure they got that?
To make sure that they got the...
A copy of that?
Oh, yeah. Just, some of you were commenting on the size of it, but did you all get a copy of the, motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction on that property?
Yes.
You all
Yes.
got that? Okay.
Lot bigger than that.
Okay. We won't discuss it because it's still in process, but I can say that some things did change in regard to the status of that, and we did finally get the owner and our building inspector talking, and with the attorney in the middle of that, Rob Kehoe will be making that property safe as of tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
once that happens, we can just dismiss this.
I think. Justin didn't state that in those words, but I was gone for the last couple days, so I can ask him for sure on Monday how that
Okay.
works.
He is taking care of all of that with the
Oh,
courts. I can tell
so
you
it
that
is.
much of it.
It's a shame that we had to go that far with
Yeah.
it.
It is. Yeah. Okay, now we're down to committee reports. I know Larry has one.
Actually, I've got a couple.
Okay.
Would you mind dialing
You want to call them now?
Shoemaker, and while you're not doing that, the Finance and Ordinance Committee, and I'll save most of my comments till later on the agenda. Bottom line, we're meeting Monday, and I'll talk some more about the main topic of our agenda, which deals with the proposed zoning enforcement ordinance topic that we've got on the agenda. I'll move on to our business affairs and technology activity. Devin shared at our last meeting that there was some move afoot to move away from our current website developer, IT Right, because they're stepping away from the business, and in the interim, we'll be working with a company called Shoemaker Group. The bottom line of that right now is the committee has met with Shoemaker Group a couple days ago, and they are in the process of putting a proposal together for us that would basically reformat our website, transition to their software technology that they're familiar with and use. And we're attempting to copy close to or one that they've already developed, happens to be for
Hello, is this
Comstock
Kyle?
Township. It'll be a blend of that and a couple of
Hi.
other ones they've developed. It'll be
Larry
Nate
is
DePerry who
speaking to
will have a
council right now.
format
I'm gonna put you
similar
on
to
speaker and have you
those with the
available if
different,
you are okay to do
front page
that.
look, et cetera, but will contain our
Okay,
information.
thank you.
We have done a little preliminary analysis of their costs and ongoing website hosting, and without a final decision right now, they're very favorable and certainly in the running from a financial perspective. We hope to be able to bring forward actually a formal quote and proposal that presented at our next meeting and be able to take some specific action. You have Kyle Shoemaker is on the phone right now. They offered to come, but we said since it was preliminary, that if there were any specific questions that council had this evening, he would attempt to answer them by phone, at least as we keep moving forward. Without getting into a lot of technical detail, what I couldn't answer, Kyle might be able to. Do we have any specific questions right now?
The only thing I would like to see if possible, and I know there's a fee, but maybe we can talk about that some other time, but through our website, being able to pay like our water bill. You know, that's the only check that we write. Everything else is electronic.
You can pay your bill online.
Yeah, but it costs 3%.
Put it on auto pay.
I thought if you did it by electronic check through BSNA, you can.
I'll have to look into it. I missed that, but it'd be.
'Cause there's more than one option.
Everywhere else I can go on a website and pay.
You
So-
can even set it up for auto
Auto
pay,
pay.
yeah, if you want.
And that doesn't charge you 3%.
There's still going to be, a journey that we go through in
Yeah.
terms of getting, a preliminary template for Dory and the rest of us to look at, and some iterations before we get to, this is what we want. And they're going to provide a quote relative to, relative to ongoing maintenance and to what extent we want to own the updates of the website in terms of information versus what they would provide to us as service, what the cost and turnaround time would be for those kinds of things. We did get into a discussion, not specifically what you questioned, Bob, but whether or not we could do online, fill in forms and hit a submit button to be able to send them electronically. Certainly is possible, but there's a fairly significant incremental cost
Okay.
with that. So at least based on where we're at right now, the committee is probably going to bring forward that we recommend sticking with our PDF format, fill it in, save as, and forward it via
Nice.
email. We had a little discussion about printing it off, scanning it, and Devin's going to teach me how to do save as and email. But in any case, since we've got Kyle on the phone, anything, Kyle, that you'd like to fill in and add at this point in time for the council?
I don't have anything specific to add. I wasn't able to hear everything you were saying, unfortunately, over the phone, but I trust that you covered it, and I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Any other questions this evening?
I don't.
Do you have a timeline, Kyle, that you'll be able to get us the information that we discussed the other day, or get it to Devin and Dory so they can forward it to the rest of the committee?
I believe Justin sent it to you earlier, but I can certainly resend later tonight if for some reason that didn't come through.
Okay, as of early this afternoon, we hadn't received anything. So if you could just follow up on that. I know we gave you a very short turnaround time to try to have something in writing for this meeting, but if you just follow up and make certain that we get that in the next couple of days, we can disseminate it to the committee, and we'll move forward with discussions to be ready at our next council meeting to hopefully be in a position to take action.
Yep, absolutely. I will forward it over again tonight.
Is it okay, Kyle, if I text you my email? Because Dory had an appointment this afternoon, and if you just are sending it to her, that would be the reason why we don't have it right now.
That might be it, so that would be wonderful. If you can text me your email to this number, I will send it straight over to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay,
Yep,
thanks for calling in, Kyle, and have a good evening.
yep, my pleasure. You too.
Bye-bye.
It sounds like you guys were pretty pleased with what you heard at your meeting,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Good.
Financially, it's very, very favorable, and we've asked that they look at a 3-year commitment for ongoing web hosting, et cetera. So we'll see where that all comes back. But in terms of their development costs versus some others and their ongoing hosting, they're
They're very, very.
very, very competitive. And have done some great work. If any of you want to go on to Shoemaker Group on the web, they've got links to many of the municipality websites around Michigan that they've developed. Lengthy update, but
Yeah, I did look at the recommendation, the sites that you recommended, and I'm very pleased with how they look. Yeah, great.
It was funny because they said that the Comstock was their favorite, our favorite was their favorite. It was one of their proudest ones that they've done, so it's,
Okay, any other discussion on that topic? You said you had, did you have something else too?
no, I'll hold
Okay.
the other one on the finance and
Okay,
ordinance
till we get down there?
Down
Okay.
there.
Mindy, you have a report.
I do.
Okay.
We're very excited to announce that we have chosen DPW deputy.
that's him.
After months of researching and interviewing, and I think we picked a really good one that's going to be a really good fit for John and work well with John. And we also have chosen someone for treasurer who really, I think, is above and beyond expectations for what we were looking for. And hopefully you're all accepting of them because we were very pleased.
Good. We will have further discussion on those, possible approval of those 2 hired positions here in a few minutes. But as far, this, Mindy's report was from the Personnel Committee. That's where that recommendation comes from. And Bob, do you have anything from Parks and Properties you'd like to
Not,
report on?
Denver had a bad week, so we have not gotten a couple weeks, we haven't gotten our minutes to you.
Oh, okay.
But we have a meeting in a couple weeks. I know we're gonna postpone our August meeting, you can tell you that.
Okay.
But,
Good.
I saw something in the bills about it. If we just paid for the bench, or did we receive the bench? But they're usually, Shirley
Paid.
calls me when we get something, so.
We just paid for it
Yeah,
at this
I wasn't
point.
sure. I looked at it first, oh, we got a bench, and I was like, oh, maybe not.
No. Okay. All right, well, we'll look forward to that and move on to presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented and that payment be authorized.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Larry and a second from Mindy to approve the bills as presented and that payment be authorized. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. We don't have any old business tonight, even though that hiring of those people feels like old business. Our first interview for the DPW position was March 30th. And we had a lot of interviews.
Yes.
I say a lot, but probably 4 or 5 in regard specifically to the superintendent position, and at least that many, if not even 6 or 7, for the deputy position. We did call back 4 people for second interviews, and 2 of those people had already accepted jobs elsewhere. A couple of the people that we talked to later withdrew their application because they didn't realize that they would have to live within a certain radius of the city for the superintendent position, not for the deputy, but for the superintendent position. So we ended up with second interviews with 2 people, and that was for the deputy position. And like Mindy said, with John's approval as well, he's going to continue to serve as superintendent. And the deputy superintendent that we've hired, if you approve this, will be Jim Dunn. This letter is signed by John. I asked him to do this because when John wrote his letter of resignation from DPW superintendent back in February, we never acted on that other than what we've done, saying, well, let's look at deputies, let's look at superintendents and see how that shakes out. But I didn't want to leave that just lingering, so I wrote this July 12th, 2021. After many meetings, discussions, and interviews of potential superintendent and/or deputy superintendent candidates, based on your resignation letter of 2/11/21, a deputy superintendent has been hired. We respectfully reject your resignation. I love writing that. You have been involved over the last 6 months in the reviews of applications, interviews of applicants, and meetings with the Personnel Committee. Based on the discussions, it's been determined and you have agreed to continue in your current position of DPW Superintendent. You have agreed to train and oversee the Deputy Superintendent's certification over the next 2 years. During this process, you'll determine whether you would like to remain in the superintendent position or, once the deputy has adequate certifications and training, step down to the deputy superintendent position and the deputy move into the superintendent position. This is to be determined as time goes on, with no guarantee to the deputy of his position that he would become superintendent. The City Council is pleased with the work you do as superintendent and hope that you will continue in that position. And this was written to John. And after a couple days of mulling this over, he did sign it. So, just so we have that on file in response to that. So we have the need to approve the 2 hired positions. I'd like to do these maybe one at a time. Is that how they're written? Can we do just one?
You can. I actually wrote them together,
Oh,
the
that-
positions itself, and I did not name the people. So did you want to name the treasurer?
Yes,
So-
I will, if that's the way it's written. Megan Galbraith, Meggen Galbraith, Galbraith, has been hired or tentatively hired as our new treasurer. I think she's just going to be outstanding. But we did have to negotiate to get her to agree to come on board. Mike can speak personally to her, well, a little bit. He coaches her son.
Yep, I coached your son in basketball for probably 4 or 5 years, and just a good family and fun people to be around and everything, and I think she'll do a great job.
She has worked as in her position that she's currently at for 17 years. A huge amount of experience working as the finance specialist project manager for Healthcare Association of Michigan in Lansing. And has a lot of experience that I believe, and the committee believe, is going to let her just learn quickly and get all the experience and knowledge that she can get from Joanne. But we did have to negotiate with her to bring her on. But she's got a lot of experience, so it's not like hiring somebody fresh out of school either. So we do have a proposed motion here that, if you want to read that through, if anyone is interested in making that motion.
I move that we approve the Personnel Committee's recommendation of Jim Dunn to hire full-time DPW superintendent at $25 per hour wage and full-time treasurer Megan Galbraith I move that we amend motion 05-20-21-04 cited below and replace the highlighted section with the following. Approve a starting wage to $25 per hour and upon 90 days authorize $1,000 sign-on bonus, 80 hours vacation, and will begin status as a salaried employee.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Steve and seconded by Larry in regard to our 2 new hires. All those in favor of the motion as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed with nay. Motion passes. Excellent. She will start in 30 days. She had to give notice for them to find somebody to replace her, so. Is
Can
that
I
right?
report?
Oh, yes.
While you were gone,
Yes.
this was some positive that I can share. She let me know that with happy tears, she put her notice in, and she will be able to begin August 23rd.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Great. We did, just so everybody knows, we talked a little bit to Joanne, the committee, and Devin and I, to see if she might be available to help with things that might come up that Megan hasn't yet experienced as in a municipality. So we might have to contract Joe for a week or something here and there to get through those spots.
Through the budget cycle and things
Yes,
like that.
that type of thing, through budgeting, and she might get through actually the winter tax, so that should carry right through to summer, so, but the budgeting thing might be the big deal. Just so you're aware of that.
And what's the timetable on Jim Dunn?
Jim Dunn had his physical Tuesday, and what's the status on that?
I just found out this afternoon that he passed.
Oh, yay.
It is my understanding that he will begin next week.
Any questions, council, regarding those positions? Okay, we're good. Next on our agenda is the possible approval of the marketing agreement with Service Line Agreement. Warranties. We did hear from a representative regarding that last time. The packet that you got at that time, that's what this is. Any discussion about that? Any?
I have some questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to preface it by saying that I'm generally in favor of the idea. I actually had some conversation with John today about it.
John?
Souter.
Okay.
Only to get some technical pieces
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
But when I read through the marketing agreement,
Yeah.
has our city attorney looked at this?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And so I'm concerned that, we're selling our label on their advertisement. And so if something were to go south, what's the city's liability in that situation? Because we've in essence endorsed this insurance company. That's one question. And then they asked that we provide resident information and understand providing names, mailing addresses, but I would hope that our limitation in terms of sharing resident information would be limited to that and not go beyond that.
We have rules.
Pardon?
We have rules.
Yeah. The one thing that I see, Larry, in the motion that Justin drafted, he drafted this motion.
Okay.
And what Justin says is, and whereas the city desires to enter into the attached marketing agreement, to me, that says that we're entering into a marketing agreement. We're not saying they do a great job, we're not saying it'll be perfect, we're not really giving anything other than agreeing to enter into a marketing agreement.
Okay.
That is my opinion. I think that's probably why he wrote it that way.
Okay.
I didn't talk to him about this because he just sent it today.
Okay, when we get over to the scope of coverage on the Exhibit A,
Uh-huh,
the question that I had for John, where it talks about external water service
Yeah.
line plan,
yep,
it says the property owner responsibility from the meter to the external wall of the home. I
Right.
don't think that's technically correct. That's basically most homes, the water meter is inside the house, as opposed to, I believe the wording should be from the curb valve to the exterior of the home. Would be
That's where-
typically not what residents would think is their responsibility, but in fact it is.
Yeah, really, it's, from the stop box to.
From the stop box
Curb
to
cut.
the exterior of the home is in fact the resident's responsibility.
Technically, it's not the exterior of the home, it's actually to the valve,
Or,
because 99% of them go underneath the footing to the valve inside your house.
to the water
So
meter,
your meter, I'm
To
sorry,
your
yes, your meter. The
correct.
meter's inside, it goes underneath your footing, some of them go through the wall, and most of them go underneath the
Right.
footing. So, if they stop at the exterior of the house, you have approximately 2 feet, maybe 4. Who's responsible for that?
And mine, it's farther than that.
Mine's
My
over the
meter
sidewalk,
is at
yeah.
the back of the house,
Still,
and instead of at the front of the house, the water comes in the front, not the
that guy
back.
got
Oh.
34
So,
yards.
yeah,
okay.
yeah, so.
Well, do you think we should have John review that and make sure that it
I would say
is
change the
equal
wording
to
from,
our, what our DPW says is the responsibility?
It just needs, I think it needs to be clarified, because once
Yeah.
we've signed this agreement,
Right.
Right.
and then the last thing, I'm sorry to be too picky here, is the very last under marketing campaigns. It read to me as if they plan to do most of their marketing by mail, but the very last sentence reads as if their interior home service would be a phone solicitation. And I'm not real big on supporting phone solicitations as opposed to by mail. My own thoughts. I would think any marketing that we sanction would be a mail less intrusive to, phone follow-up into these environments.
And I'm not opposed to that. I guess we'll have to just talk to them. Council members, what are your thoughts on that?
My interpretation is that if you take on the plan that we're selling them, they will have that information and will continue on offering another service that John said, please don't offer that as through the city.
John
The
said,
interior plumbing, drainage plan, product, inbound phone, and I'm assuming, because I know there is more plans that available to this.
In their
And so when,
program, yes,
in
they
their
have-
program, do you not interpret it that way?
I'm
Because they're
unclear
not
because
getting the
they're-
phone
they're-
numbers or the webs from us, so that's not gonna happen. So,
They're gonna get them, if you sign up, you'll get all that information.
right,
I think what Larry is saying is that it may look like the city's sanctioning their phone solicitation, but we are and we're not, because we're only sanctioning the exterior services.
Yeah.
And if they want to try to sell you more things, then they're under that license to contact you to sell you the Cadillac.
Okay, if
Contact you by
they've already
phone. Right.
have signed up for the
It would
solar
only be
and
those people,
exterior
right.
home, then I don't have a problem with them making a phone call to, an existing customer, if you will, to offer another service.
I think that's the only way they're gonna get that information would be once you sign up.
because we're
Have
not
to
giving
sign up with
that.
their program
There's,
to,
there's lots of ways they can get phone numbers that
Right.
don't
That's
have-
true.
Once
There
they've got a name and address, you can.
well,
you can
mine's
get a
not,
phone
I don't have, not everybody has a landline, especially people younger.
Right.
So that's, yes, there
Like I
is a way,
said-
but
My first comment was I'm supportive of the idea. I just want to make certain from my perspective that we've,
can I just jump back to something Devin said? Maybe I misunderstood, but you said, John says, please do not offer this coverage.
So when he talked to the gentleman, there was a plan, where I thought it was some kind of flood or something in that, but that's not the word. Anyways, it would be put on the utility bills and everybody, it would have been massed through the city. And I thank John for not doing that. So I just know I knew that was one of the plans that could actually, people could have added on to their utility bill, which can be just kind of, you're running into debates and no different than what we ran into for like adding in the yard pickup and all that kind of stuff. Who can opt out, who can't, and all that kind of stuff.
You know, my conversation with John today, though it was really around the, responsibility, where the city's responsibility starts and ends. But in that conversation, John said that he made it quite clear to the folks he talked to that it was in no way, regardless of what the service might be, was to be billed through the city. It was strictly to be direct to the.
And it's a particular
customer.
service, and I do not, I unfortunately, I do not recall that part of it.
Yeah, but it
And
was
so John was
basically any service would be billed directly
to the customer,
to the
yeah.
customer.
I'm hearing maybe what we need to do is move this, don't take any action tonight and move it to our August 5th meeting. Have John here, but also in the meanwhile, have him review this language about where it starts and stops and make sure that what we describe as the owner's responsibility matches what they describe, but also maybe have the representative back to answer these other questions.
Depends on how much
Because I'm assuming,
really in.
yeah, I'm assuming by looking at the wording
Oh,
on
is
there,
it? Oh.
external would be from the valve box to the foundation.
Right.
So that's one plan. And then from the foundation to the meter is the other plan. It just doesn't, that one just doesn't make sense.
Right, but you can't necessarily replace the pipe, your service line stopping there.
Right.
Correct.
There's no other stuff.
So, yeah, that's, you're not supposed to technically put a splice in your service line.
That's right.
Correct.
Devin just told me that representative that was here is from Pennsylvania. He probably doesn't want to keep running that. So,
Next loop around.
yeah, maybe I could email him, because I have emailed him before, or maybe John could, but we'll get some clarification on that. So let's do no action on this. We'll get some clarification, bring it back around on August 5th. Next is our possible first reading of zoning ordinance amendment number 354 regarding violation enforcement. And Larry is going to report on this for us.
I don't want to be the naysayer this evening, but we've not had the opportunity to have the Finance and Ordinance Committee review this in some level of detail. The schedule's just, since we got the document, haven't allowed us to get together. We're doing that this coming Monday afternoon. And I have some questions. I think individual committee members that I've talked to have a few questions. So what I'd like to do is have this no action taken tonight, basically because I don't want to go through a 7-page first reading to have to redo it
change
again
that.
after we made changes. So if everybody's okay with that, I'd just like to have a no action taken, and we'll be ready at the next meeting to go through the 7-page reading, or hopefully a little less.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, we all good with that? Okay, we
Thank you.
are moving on then. The next item on the agenda is possible first reading of ordinance amendment number 355. That is in regard to the school property speed limit. Kyle spoke to us about that at the last meeting. this would change the ordinance, and I've asked Steve if he'll read this for us, because Kyle couldn't be here tonight.
You want me to?
Well, if we have a motion, then
Oh, yes.
Steve will read it. We need a motion.
Make a motion to accept
It's on page 11.
That's why I gave the little tabs. So you could go right to it.
54 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the end of it.
I know, but I made it so you could skip that and
There
go
you go.
and be ready to go. That's why I did
I'm a
it.
little slow. It's
No,
okay.
that's all right. I explained to some that were already here. I didn't catch you guys. I apologize.
I move that the ordinance amendment number 355 regarding school property speed limit, and which reads as follows, be placed on the next agenda for possible adoption.
Second.
Oh, he's reading it.
Yeah,
I'll read it,
Steve
yeah.
will read it, yeah. Go
The City
ahead.
of Perry, the City of Perry O'Days, Perry City Council, excuse me, let me try again. Perry City Code Section 472.03B is hereby repealed, and the below stated Section 472.03B is hereby substituted in its place and stead. 472.03, speed limits, operation generally. B, subject to subsection A hereof, and except in those instances where a lower speed is specified in this chapter, it shall be prima facie lawful for the driver of a vehicle to drive the same at a speed not exceeding 20 miles per hour on all drives, lots, and roadways owned and operated by the Perry Public School District, except when such speed would be unsafe. No person shall exceed such speed limitation. All other provisions of said ordinance, not inconsistent with the above amendments, remain in full force and effect. These ordinance amendments shall take effect 30 days from the date of publication.
All those in favor of the motion as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Steve. And moving on now to possible adoption of resolution to sell property. Let me just say right from the get-go, we can't do this tonight. A couple different things have come up. First, our previous attorney, city attorney, Tom Bridges, pointed out to me that when this property was purchased, there was not quiet title suit filed. So that means there could possibly be clouds on the title back, who knows how far back. He did not file that because the city's intent, or at least he explained to me the intent, was to use that parcel as a site for accessing a new well. It's out on M52, almost at the dead end of Ellsworth Road, south of town. It's an odd-shaped parcel. I can't even tell you what that is, but that's what it's shaped like. It doesn't really have a building envelope in it, but the city wasn't going to build on it, except that they might have put a lift station on it. But, so, right then, I knew we were going to have to file quiet title first. That takes about 3 months. So, whether the person who's interested in buying that, and again, for privacy reasons, I won't share that kind of stuff here tonight, but I'll call them on next week, Monday, and just tell them that we have to file quiet title, so that's going to take longer. But then today, Justin sent an email, because we'd asked his opinion. It was purchased on a tax sale. So I got hold of the Treasury Department, where those tax sales happen through the state of Michigan, and asked, can we sell this for a different amount than what we paid for it. And they said, yes, you can, if you were selling it for more, then when yearly we send this form out that says, have you made any profit from a tax sale? You'd report it. If you're selling it for less, then you still fill it in, but there's nothing to report. So we don't have an issue as far as that's concerned. But we do have another issue that Justin pointed out to me, and that is that when the city purchased this, they used money from the water fund. And because of that fund being used, it can't be sold unless the city residents vote approving the sale. So my thought is, we have an election in 2022. I see no reason to spend money. I mean, it's not like this is causing anybody a problem. So again, I'll have to tell that potential buyer that there's no way we could even do this before November of 2022, and then it's up to the city, you know, who knows. But it may be that the council, and this is what I told them when I talked to them, the council may want to, if they decide to sell it, just list the property so that we get more competitive bids, even though it's really not a buildable site. But that being said, that's my old realtor coming out. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I'll just let them know. If they choose to just go on about their business and say, well, don't get back with us, we don't want it anyway. But we're not going to be able to do anything with this till after the election of 2022.
Won't we have a primary in 2022? Before November?
Yeah, probably.
That we could put it on the ballot before November?
Yeah, so it'd be August.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Might be sooner.
that's all. I did,
yeah.
3 months for
Yep.
whatever it is.
Yeah, we could do that. That wouldn't incur any additional cost to put something like that on there?
No, because it's primary, it'll be a state primary, so.
Okay. Okay, so here we are, once again. How do you want to handle this on the agenda? Do you want to table it indefinitely? Do you want to do no action taken until we have more information and just keep bringing it back to the agenda with reports of what we know? How do you want to do it?
Is there something you can, yeah, can you do something until we can do anything? Can we shove it aside until we can it actually even do anything?
Can you answer that question? I can't.
What's the easiest way?
You can table it indefinitely, it just takes it off until you choose to put it back on the agenda.
Perfect.
Or you can table it to a particular time.
Might be close to,
I would recommend table it indefinitely, and then the mayor will follow up and make notes to remind as it's getting close to ballot wording, because you'll have to approve the ballot wording, and that's when it'll be a discussion.
Is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. That'll be tabled indefinitely with periodic updates.
So they have to make a motion.
Oh, they do? All right, I need a motion.
I move that we tabled indefinitely the sale of the property. I don't even know where it was at. Does it say what it is there?
South M52 will work.
South End 52 property, indefinitely, tabled indefinitely.
Second.
Okay. Bob's moved, Mike has seconded to table this decision regarding sale of the property indefinitely. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Now we have the sad job of accepting Steve's resignation. Steve Schweiker has been the city assessor for 17 years, I think he told me. But he feels a need to step away from this. He has served as assessors in other municipalities and has resigned from all but ours and Owasso Township. So now he's stepping away from ours. I did ask him if he would be willing to help us with wording for posting the position and help us with the interview process, and he said he would. He'll stay until September 1. Hopefully we can get somebody before then. I certainly hope we get somebody that's like he was, serving multiple municipalities, so they have lots of information to pull from, but that'll be coming your way for the Personnel Committee to do that.
Did
So
he make any mention of people that he nominated for other?
he did not, but
Ones they love?
he was gonna give that some thought and let us know.
I
So,
believe Steve's worked with the city a lot longer than 17 years.
has it been? I
Because
was,
we made him sign a contract when I was mayor, so, and that's been over 21 years.
21 years,
Yeah, so he's been with the city a long, long time.
long time. So council, what would you like to do?
I move that we accept the resignation of the assessor for the city of Perry, Steve Spiker, with regret.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Bob and seconded by Mike, that we accept the resignation of Steve Schweikert as appointed city assessor with regrets. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Any other business that may come before council at this time? Any council discussions or observations you'd like to make? I will say, Personnel Committee, you have done an awesome job. That was a lot of time. They were meeting a lot.
We
So,
had a lot
thank
of
you.
help from you,
Wow.
John, Devin. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joanne sat in on the treasurer
Yes, Joanne.
information, so
We've had
It made all
a lot
the
of people
difference.
lately, you know.
Made all the difference.
good. Well, thank you all for all you do. And,
We bring Mike in and people just.
yeah,
start
we
jumping
just
on
threw him
board,
right
so-
in.
Yeah.
Those wheels were in motion.
Any other council discussion or observation you'd like to make? Any agenda items for next meeting you'd like to tell Devin about?
I have first reading, number 354, and also the possible approval of the marketing agreement. Is that agreed upon?
Yep. And the discussion and possible approval of activity on the website.
Anything else?
Do we want to discuss National Night Out? Because our
Oh,
meeting will
yes,
be
we
after
can,
that.
let's talk about that right now. National Night Out is August 3rd, and as you all know, that is a night when we give special attention to the police department, the fire department, and just mingle with them, get to know them. It's held right out here at the Veterans Park next to City Hall. In the past, they've had free food that's been given out. This year, Kyle and Dory talked about it and decided that might not be time yet to be handing out hot dogs and stuff because of COVID. So Dory has been in touch with local businesses to see who might have a food truck, who might be able to come and be willing to give out free whatever.
So a business can do it?
Oh,
The
absolutely.
city doesn't want to be responsible for
Correct.
it.
And because then the health department also gets involved.
Right.
And so businesses such as Amy's
Yeah.
or others, Hungry Howie's or what, they're certainly trained for that and know what they've been having to do to deal with the pandemic. We don't.
I'll ask her if she's interested. And it is, I mean, from what I know, And if you guys don't know, any vendor that comes there cannot sell anything.
Correct.
There's no money to be exchanged.
Right.
Everything's free.
Yep, everything's free. We are going to seek free pop, and Dory is working on that, getting businesses to donate pop. And the people will just take their own can of pop from the cooler or whatever it's in. And we did talk about maybe getting the popcorn machine from Darling's Hardware and popping popcorn, and then we just have bags of popcorn sitting and people can just take their own. So that might happen. Dory's suggested a tug of war, maybe having the police officers, the fire department, and then some kids in between do tug of war. And she talked to Dave Miner, the principal up at the high school, about using their ropes, because they have tug of war ropes from gym class.
I do know a big hit in Williamston over the last few years is they bring their tower down and just let it rain and the kids, if it's hot, the
Oh,
weather permitting,
yeah,
went nuts. I mean,
that's a fun thing.
they loved it. They built the city for the water and that. Just let them know how much water they use. But yeah, it's just a fine sprinkle pretty much. But they just played around in a little area. So if guys up for that, and again, weather permitting. So.
Randy, way back when, the fire departments used to have, where they
The
use
water
the fire
ball?
hoses with the water ball.
Yes,
They still do that?
it's here and there. I haven't done one in quite a few years.
Is
But
that something we want to look at? Like maybe invite a,
it's more of a festival competition usually, more of like or Prairie Fest or whatever. It'd be awesome because it is a lot of fun. You don't see it in a lot of places anymore.
right,
I think the closest one I've ever seen lately is like Fowlerville or Weberville at the Ox Fest or whatever they have down there. Williamston used to do it for a while. There's a ball that usually like Eaton County holds one, so I don't know if Shiawassee has one somewhere around.
because I can remember us having one here in
It was a
Perry.
blast. It's
It was
so much
and
fun.
what I would like to see is invite maybe one or two local community fire departments.
That's what we did.
Lynchburg,
Yes.
Fowlerville,
We
Lisa.
had, when last one
They
I
probably
did.
wouldn't do that on National Night Out though.
No,
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 but
that's what I-
maybe
it's a
Perry Fest is
festival,
something we
Yeah.
should want to look at.
But it does bring a lot of people in, and like you say, if it's a super hot day, it's awesome.
Mhm.
The last one I remember here was, we did it right behind the fire department. But it is, yeah, you invite all departments, I don't even think you pay to get into it or anything like
Right.
that. It's just a fun thing to do.
So for Perry Fest, maybe that's something that we can see if we could get.
We're kind of leaning away from Perry Fest. The events committee has met several times and going more toward monthly events on a smaller scale. And Dory's in favor of that, just because Perry Fest is so overwhelming and she's not had the kind of help that would make it easier. And so I think I see her take a deep breath when we say we're not going to do Perry Fest. She smiles a little more. So we're still talking about what to do, and maybe quarterly a little bigger things, but monthly smaller things, but not a huge once a year Perry Fest, just so you know. Not to say we couldn't do that thing.
Include that.
Yeah,
in the-
that can be in something.
You could have it during the car show, and where there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's nice, it's a free event that people like to watch, and it's funny to watch us do it.
What's it called?
Water ball.
Water ball.
It's basically tug of war with a big
With a fire
balls.
hose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with 2 fire hoses.
Okay.
When I was a kid, in the village of Franklin, I did it, but it was a barrel.
It used to be a barrel, yes,
Something and
yes.
they shot up there, but that was.
I think that's what
long
they
time
still use up in, where's the memorial at?
Oh, Fire Memorial.
Yeah.
Our businesses were very interested in having an event uptown involving them, and hopefully some of the other people would come in and set up stuff, and we were trying to think of something that would bring people down there in the first place.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be it.
Yeah. Did you say you did it behind the fire department?
Actually,
Yeah.
just south of the fire department, on
We
the
did-
street.
It might have been, they might have blocked that
They
area.
blocked the
off.
street
Yes.
off and they were doing
Yes.
it, they did it in the
They
street.
may have practiced in back before we, but, yeah, you just have to have hydrant hookup, honestly, and go from there.
Okay.
But during the car show, it'd be kind of cool, it's still warm out. It doesn't take long, I mean, it takes a few hours maybe.
Yeah, we'd like to, the car show's up here, because they're kind of
Okay.
self-contained, if I understood correctly what Dory said. And we were trying to come up with things that would bring people downtown. So that might be
That would be a
something.
great place.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we could do that. Okay, good. She did talk to Guy about maybe doing an extrication from the 3rd floor of this building on National Night Out.
So they'd have
But
a dog area.
we've talked about having some other games besides the tug of war, maybe having some cornhole games around so people can play those. We certainly don't want to take away from the focus on the firemen and the police officers and their interaction with the kids, but if council could help out that night, just tell Dory, yes, I'll do whatever, and she can say, well, you man this cornhole game, and if kids just want to play or with their parents, or a police officer and a child would be a really good way to do that. But you might have to ask for that, you know, say,
The only thing I
Sean,
can say
could you
from
do
the
that?
health department side that I know, people reaching into the cooler is not going to apply this year.
That won't
You have
go?
to have a
We'll have to-
person handing it to them.
with gloves
With
on.
gloves.
Okay, all right,
Same with the popcorn. You can have it in
Okay.
bags ready,
okay.
but they just can't reach in there and mingle. all-
So
all-
hand pop and popcorn, 2 individuals with gloves on.
Yeah, that'll save you a lot of trouble.
Okay, thank you.
So is the corn throwing thing, is that, because people will be sharing?
They got it going on down
Is
in East
it-
Lansing. There's a whole, I don't know, you seen the thing down by Hopcat?
No,
That
I
whole
haven't.
activity area, they blocked off the street right there. That
Oh, you're talking about the barricades for
Yeah,
restaurants?
yeah. They got ladder ball, they have Connect Four, it's like this play area for people, for adults.
We
and
have
kids.
lots of hand sanitizers
yeah.
we could
I
leave
think
by
we're
each
good on
one
that
if
one.
people just,
Mhm.
yeah, do that. Any other questions about National Night Out? It's from 5 to 8 on the 3rd of August. Put on your mosquito spray.
Probably. Maybe that's a good idea though, maybe if John could spray this area.
Well, he can't. We don't have anybody
Not
on
even
our
with-
staff that's
pesticide
licensed.
or-
Not even with store-bought stuff?
Nope.
I don't know.
That's 6A, Bob.
Bob
You have
will
one?
get that.
No, is that a 6A?
I think so.
I think
I don't
that's a
have
6A.
one.
I don't either.
When I asked John about this most recent communication, he said, we don't have anybody on staff that's licensed to spray.
You can do it in your own home,
Mm-hmm.
on your own property, but as soon as you start doing it, any kind of fee or municipality, you better have a license
Wow.
and know all the rules.
I'll check with my staff and see if any would, our staff at the university may volunteer their time.
I think there's a company over in Duran that's licensed, they offer the service. I use their lawn service. I don't use their mosquito, I've used their mosquito service in the past, right now I'm thinking about that, asking them.
Mhm.
There's a place right out at the industrial park that's mosquito
You ever know
something.
your mosquito chasers or mosquito
Yeah.
something?
But I went there like 5 times trying to give them stuff for
Okay.
the,
Oh, I forgot about that, I've been a
Business.
drive right there.
yeah, and no one was ever there. There's always cars there, but no one comes to the door.
They're so busy.
No.
Anything else? Meeting's adjourned, 8:12 PM. Thank you, everybody.